Wife's offering me a coffee. Right, let's see if this works. So I'm going to load back into the game. Game save 1. This should load us outside of the fishing area. Habitat. And it should be working again. There we go. All fixed. A bit annoying that I had to sail so far away, but at least we know we're right on it. I've got plenty of fuel and I can head back in. So not exactly how I wanted to start the stream. Sailing half an hour in the wrong direction so that I can turn around and sail back in. But at least if you ever save the game and have the same problem, you know how to get around it. I have proven that it works. Well, I say that. Let's go back into the fishing habitat and see if it works. It should do. It did yesterday. Well, ordinarily, Stewie, I'd say yes, but we've actually run out of milk and bread in this house. Thankfully, the Marmite situation is stable, so there won't be any murders today, but yeah. But she's found a Tassimo latte macchiato, which comes with milk. So I may go and grab that in a minute. Or she may bring it down to me. No, that won't happen. I may go get it. It's funny, I watched TMTC live streaming this morning. Yesterday his missus brought him a... what did she bring him? Oh, a bacon sarnie or something. Bacon and egg sarnie. Lucky sod. Right, we're in the fish habitat. It's working. What have we got here? Haddock, catfish, cod, pollock. Okay, that's not too bad. So I'm gonna head... move to there. I'm going to come there, I'm going to drop it, and we'll go across there like that. That's my plan. Could you not milk the cow that we've got on the farm? Well, unfortunately for me, turns out it's not a cow, it's a bull. So the answer to that is no. Unless you like lumpy tea. Far too early in the morning for that sort of gibberish, isn't it? Far too early. Bollocks to you too. My God, you lot have woken up lively. You're making me not behave myself. It's terrible news. We're going to get in all sorts of trouble today. I can see it happening. Right, we are hotlining it towards the haddock. And there's a good amount of haddock there as well. I got told off yesterday, by the way. Or corrected. Told off, whatever you like. I was calling them catfish. And it does. I think it says catfish here, doesn't it? Catfish. But somebody corrected me and said that they're called wolffish. So I don't know if that's a Norwegian thing or whether he's, you know, just messing with my head. But yeah, if anyone knows if that's true, do they call catfish wolffish in Norway? I have no idea if that's true. This guy's talking a big load of pollock. Yeah. This is very true. That's a condition that we will never find a cure for, I think. I fear. Do a little bit of... oh no. Not that. Let's do a bit of external, I was going to say. A bit of external boating. Look at this. So there's quite a lot of stuff that needs to get improved in this game. One of the things I want to do, if I can secure an interview with the devs, I love the waves though, even though they're turned off and this is like minimum waves. I do love it. Just love that they have that. It just makes such a difference to the game. Yeah, if I can secure an interview with the vampires, with the devs, I mean, I'm going to try and get some sort of definitive answer as to what kind of simulator this is. Is it a hardcore simulator? Is it an arcade simulator, aka a simcade? Get some idea of what their perspective or viewpoint on a simulator is and see just how committed they are to realism. I think that would be interesting. You can get dogfish too, can you? Is that your way of saying that there is such a thing as a wolffish? The mini game where you gut the fish, yes, I believe if we can get the next boat up, the tier 2 fishing boat, that will include net fishing. Now, I've heard on the grapevine that net fishing is well broken, but I don't know, that was probably about a week ago that I heard that. So I don't know what sort of state it is in today. But we'll find out. If we can get the tier 2 boat today, we will test it. We'll find out. But yes, if we do get the tier 2 boat, then that's where that would be implemented. Maru, hello, welcome to the stream. In your opinion, you doubt they know at the moment, but Atlantic wolffish is a thing. Ah, okay. That is a superb question, Stewie. I will have to ask that question. I know there's weather, but that's not quite the same as seasons. I know there's weather, and I know there are fishing seasons, so months of the year are in the game. So theoretically, yes. But at the moment, it kind of... it switches from snow to sun to rain, sort of sporadically at random at the moment, so probably not. They have said the game allows for map expansions. I did say in my review, and I stand by this, I get the impression, and I really hope that I'm right, that they're trying to take an SES approach to this game, in that they will release DLCs to supplement the development that they do on the core game. So the core game will continue to improve and get better for years. And they have confirmed, they have said to me, like, directly, having spoken to some of the devs, directly, they want to work on this long term. They don't want to release another game. They want to work on this one for a really long period of time and make it, and I quote, the best fishing, no, not fishing, the best ship sim that anyone can buy and anyone can play. This is why I'm so keen to get an interview with them and get some sort of real definition about what they regard a sim to be. Because when I talk about sims, I'm looking for realistic physics, which we don't have. I'm looking for realistic damage, which we don't have. I mean, the way the game has been designed, the foundation of it, it is designed in a way that allows for all of that to be included in time. It's just going to take time. That's the only problem. 6 months, I think we'll have a stable game. 12 months, I think we'll have something that resembles a full game. And then in 2 years, I think we'll potentially could have something that, you know, really is really massively popular and positive, just like ETS2. But having said that, what happened in the last 2 games was the arcade community complained that the waves were too wavy, the boats were too boaty, and the damage was too realistic, or too severe. And so they sort of dulled everything down. I'm really hoping they don't do that this time. But they have already turned the waves off, although to be fair, the waves could get pretty serious in the harbour. But then, you know, I kind of feel like I'd rather have that, the harbour being totally ridiculous and the waves, you know, coming up over your head and stuff, because you don't have to go out in that. You can just skip time for 12 hours and get a different weather condition. But at least that meant when you were out fishing or whatever, there was a bit of a challenge about it. a bit of fun, a bit of excitement. But anyway, yeah, they've turned that off temporarily, and they're already talking about the damage on the boat. So I agree that the boat does take too much damage. If you're moving at, you know, 0.5 knots and you bump into something, it probably shouldn't do any damage at all. But I think if you're going faster than 1 knot, then it should do a little bit of damage. I mean, even a scratch is damage, right? But I made a few suggestions anyway. Rather than dampening it down.
Had a blast with it last night.
Yes.
Finally a game I can point my boat in a direction, then sit back and enjoy my beer.
Well, you know, there were times when they had the waves turned on, there were occasions where I'd be out in the sea doing a bit of fishing, and a bit like today, where the tide is trying to pull me to the right and take me off course all the time, and the waves were bigger than this, not massive, but they were a bit of a pain in the arse. And then all of a sudden, the sun came up. I'm pretty sure this is on video somewhere, I just can't remember which episode it was. The sun came up and it just turned into a mill pond. And I just literally, as you say, put the boat in the direction I wanted to go, and I just sat back and away she went. And she just carried on, and exactly that same radial for absolutely ages. And I actually took a picture of it and I put it up in Discord, and I said, one of the reasons why I love having waves is because it makes me appreciate mill pond moments like this so much more. But yeah, you know, anyway, it does need fixing. I just feel like, because, you know, equally, whilst there are people who complain about how big the waves were and how crazy it was in the harbour, there are quite a lot of people who have come into the game having seen my videos or other people's videos, seen the massive waves and how cool that can be, and they've turned them off, so they can't even experience it. And I think that's a poor idea, you know, because like I say, you can just skip time and then wait until the weather calms down and then park your boat. I don't see what the issue is there. So I wish they hadn't done it, but there you go, they have done it. Regarding the damage, I did sort of suggest that if we go into the shipyard, we can buy the tyres that we hang around the edge. There's like an official name. If you don't use tyres, there is an official thing. I thought each one of those could like protect the side. So like each tyre could reduce the amount of damage that the boat takes on that side by 25%. And then I feel like you can kind of control it a bit better then. You know, put a big one on the front, so if you smash into something with the front of your boat, which is the most likely to get damaged, you know, you put a big wheel on there and maybe it takes 25% of the damage away. Something like that, rather than just getting rid of the damage. I like the damage. It makes me have to be good at handling the boat. And if they take it away, it's just gets boring. They have, Jim. They have been, like I say, the last one they dropped was at 3:30 this morning. So, I mean, they are working round the clock, flat out, trying to get it stable. And it looks like, it sounds like they've got a stable patch now, which is really good.
The second game had better seas that got patched out as well.
Stewie, so they've got fire boats already. That's already in the game. And they could do RNLI DLC stuff. And I say that with a heavy heart, because one of the things I've always wanted to do was make an RNLI game. So, I mean, this honestly is the kind of game where that could be a possibility. But like I say, they've already got fireboats, so they're already sort of halfway there to your suggestion, to be fair. They patched the game, the last games too, but people complained, so they made it easier. Yeah, they did, Marin. That's, see, I fell out with this dev team on fishing North Atlantic for that very reason. Before the game came out, they contacted me in an email and they said, we've learnt our lesson. It's going to be better. Don't worry. Everything's going to be grand. And they said there's going to be controller support. It's going to be more realistic. Blah, 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 blah. And it just wasn't. And I could see after like a few months of development that it wasn't heading in that direction at all. So I basically said, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not reviewing the game anymore. But, you know, to their credit, they took my criticisms on board, and here we are, Ships at Sea, with a lot of my criticisms addressed, or at least partially addressed. But, yeah, it seems like the same thing is happening. It's like the arcade gamers seem to have more coercive power over the devs than the simulation players. I don't know why that is, to be honest with you. That would be a good question to ask them if I ever get to sit down and have a one-on-one with one of the devs, actually. Get that out in the open and see what they think about that. But the thing is, they do seem to be sort of hell-bent on putting game-type elements in this simulator, and yet when they talk about it, they refer to it as a simulator. So we need to get some definition on what that is. A bigger market for console? Yeah, possibly. I mean, that's obviously going to factor into it to some degree. I kind of feel like, you know, maybe there could be a slider. You know, you could have it on arcade mode or simulation mode. A lot of simcade games, as I like to call them, do that these days. They could do the Weymouth Ferry. I'd really like to see like the Scottish Isles. I'd really like to see some Scottish Isles stuff. That would be awesome. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if they had a slider option, you could tweak it to make it as realistic as you want, I guess. If there's no challenge, people will get bored fast. That's it. But this is the thing, I think, Maru, is the difference between a sim player and an arcade player is exactly that. If it's too easy, if there's no challenge and there's no consequence to your behaviour, then sim players get bored because there is no challenge. And we all know how challenging it is to be a fisherman, right? Especially in the North Sea. So we want to see that in a sim. But arcade players are like the polar opposite of that. If they have to work hard or grind a bit or have to learn how to handle a boat instead of just have it do what they want exactly when they want it, then they get bored. And the silly thing is, in my head, arcade players tend to play games like this for a couple of months and then they're off. Whereas sim players, and you see this with flight sims and train sims and stuff like that, they stick with it and they stay with it and they invest a lot of money in it. So it's like, what are they chasing? Are they chasing the quick money, or do they want long-term investment and support, and do they want the players to be there for them long-term, or what is it they want? They seem to sort of have a mixed idea of what a sim is, and that's causing a few problems. Cruise ships like Southampton to Bilbao, Dover, Calais, Calassis. Ooh, nice. I know that there's a level 3 tier of boats coming out, which goes up to or exceeds 175 foot, so much bigger boats than we've got here. But I guess there's nothing stopping them from going bigger still.
That's why I play DCS, makes me feel thick and I want to conquer the modules.
Exactly right, Jim. Exactly right. DCS is an excellent example of a proper sim. All the switches and buttons do what they're supposed to do, and you have to learn that system in order to use it properly. And then you've got to practice. And that's awesome. And I love that. DCS is one of my favourite games, even though I hardly ever play it because I'm always reviewing other games, it's got a real special place in my heart because of that reason. Vanguard, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the stream. The ocean is unforgiving. One mistake, even the minorest mistake, could potentially get you hurt or killed. Exactly right. Exactly right. And that's what you want to see. I don't know if you guys... I've got a channel called SimUK Ultimate Realism. It's like a sister channel to this, and I've uploaded all my unedited gameplay over the last couple of weeks there, so you can see all the bugs and the crashes and everything. My thoughts and opinions and stuff. The Goa Seros, thank you for very much for the follow. And the next boat up from this is a service boat. I forget the name of it, but it's really unstable, and I found some very nasty weather, and I flipped the boat over. Now, if you're an arcade player, you're going to complain about that because your boat's upside down and you couldn't stop it from happening. But what happened was, and I swear to God, I've not seen it since, there was like a mountain of a wave turned up, and it was shaped like a mountain. A totally rogue wave. And I just went over it at the wrong angle and flipped the boat. Now for me, that's fantastic. That's exactly what I want to see. And I was really excited by that. I didn't like the fact that the boat didn't sink, but that's a whole different conversation. The fact that the sea got so rough that it flipped my boat over because I made a mistake, I loved that. I was so impressed. That really cheered me up. And then it's been a week since that happened, and they've turned the waves off, and they're talking about toning down the damage. So, you know, I'm doing the best I can. I am keeping the pressure on and reminding the devs that this is supposed to be a sim game, and we'll just see what happens. All I can do is keep voicing my concerns and offering suggestions, and they can just ignore me or implement it or whatever, but whatever happens, it will take time. That's the only downside, I guess. Could make a Shady Goods DLC trying to get illegal items to destinations. Dewey, you're about one sentence away from suggesting that they start bringing migrants over to Britain, I think. We don't want that DLC. That's a DLC we could do without. City Flyer, hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, it sounds like they want the ball in both sides, sim and arcade. I don't mind that so much, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think this is ever going to be a proper simulator. If you know my channel well, you know I've been playing a game called Nautis Homeship Simulator. For me, that has to be the most realistic boat sim I have ever played. There is so much real life stuff that I have learnt by playing that game. It's unreal. I've learnt more in the year that I've been playing that game than I have in my entire life, and I've sailed a bit. I've sailed some 60-footers. I've sailed some tiny little yachts. I've sailed some motorboats. I've sailed catamarans. You know, I have done a bit of sailing. I'm no expert by any means at all, but I do have experience and knowledge of different types of boats in different kind of weather conditions and so on and so forth. And I've learnt more by playing that game about real life sailing than I have in my entire life. It's really that good. Now this game is nowhere near that. And I don't think the devs have the understanding to make it like that, even if they wanted to. And I don't think they do want to. But that's okay, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a full-on hardcore DCS style boat sim. It just has to be realistic enough, and then I'll be alright, you know? And they're not a million miles away from that. The physics on the boats, they're not good enough. The audio, not good enough. There's, you know, but we're basically looking at a game that is, at best, just come out of alpha and gone into beta, whatever you want to call it. So I mean, it's got a long way ahead of it And all I can do is sort of keep talking to them, keep conveying your thoughts, keep conveying my own thoughts about the game and how realistic it is and what direction they're going in. And again, you know, the more I think about it, the more important I think it would be to be able to sit down with the devs and have a chat and sort of get some clarity on what they think a simulator is and how much of a simulator this is going to be, according to them.
Simulate even the US Navy, other navies too, can't get it right, and they have probably $1 billion pool buyout to do just that for ship disorders.
Vanguard, yes. Well, you say that, but the industry actually disagrees with you to some extent. So simulating water is one of the hardest things to simulate, to get it really, really right. And then to have it interact with a boat or an object in a realistic way is like a whole, you know, that's like doubling the complexity of it all. But according to NVIDIA, who make and produce this waveforms, I think it's called, or wavelengths or something, they make the sea in the water, and their own quote is, it's easy to make water simulation, but to make it feel balanced and right and stuff is quite tricky. So whilst I understand what you're saying, you know, the US Navy can't do it and they've got $1 billion pool, that there is a really good example there that doesn't mean that that necessarily proves that it's hard to do. And that example is that NASA were a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that couldn't figure out how to get a spaceship on the moon. And along comes Elon Musk with a different approach, not constricted by all the red tape and all of the... Because we all know, right? We've all worked for or experienced businesses where there's an idiot at the top who earns all the big money but actually knows sod all and constantly doesn't listen to the people that he's hired, the experts below him. So he's making the decisions, but he's not making the decisions based on the information that the people who actually know what they're talking about are saying. And therefore, multi-billion-dollar projects go skew-whiff and over budget and under deliver. It happens all the time. The water simulation in Nautis Home Ship Simulator has to be the best I've seen so far. Underwater currents, as well as tidal waves. It's incredibly well done. It feels very authentic. There are real life sailors who say it's not as... Oh, hang on. Hold that thought. I've missed all these fish, look. Oh no, too much babbling. Right, hang on, let me get back in the boat. Let me turn my brain on. So, there's haddock, there's cod. Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Yui. Come round this fish here and then we'll drop. Did I get myself set up? No. Where's the bloody... I've lost my bucket. Oh, nuggets. One of the other bugs I discovered was if you save the game whilst your bucket is on the back of the boat, it disappears. And I momentarily forgot that when I saved the game. So we've now lost a bucket. That's a little bit annoying, isn't it? Blast. Alright, we'll turn around. To be fair, I've already got probably 2 lines worth of fish in the boat. Don't know if we can hold much more than 3 or 4 anyway, so... But I'll stick to the 1 line at a time thing, because I don't want to crash the game if I can help it. We're in, we're up and running, we're rocking and rolling. They could do a Med Cruise DLC. They could. Genuinely, they could just work their way south from Norway and do the whole of the whole of Europe. Theoretically, if you think about it from an ETS perspective, in many ways it's easier because most of what they're doing is water-based. And you don't have to like build the models or anything for that. Okay, admittedly they're going to have to build some harbours, and there are some big harbours obviously. Where the hell did that seagull just go? Did you see him? Just nosedived into the sea. But there's another one! Oh my god! What's going on? Seagulls are dying. They're committing suicide. I think they're trying to sink our boat, the crazy nut jobs. I've never seen that before. That's quite funny. Research boats to Antarctica, exactly. I mean, that's along the same lines as what Microsoft Flight Simulator I think are doing with 24. It's actually better off going up that way. Let's head north and see what happens. But yeah, basically, because of the way they built the foundation here, they could literally do that. They could map out the entirety of Europe and sell it in DLC sections. I mean, you got places like Rotterdam and stuff. I mean, that's going to be a lot of work to get that to scale, because it does seem to be to scale, or it looks to be to scale. That's something I want to confirm, actually. But yeah, 44 kilometers, I think it is. 44 kilometers square. U-boat's massive patch out next week. You can't wait for it. Jim, I really want to get into U-boat. I really want to put some time into it, and everyone's really excited about this next patch. I don't know why, because I haven't been following the game, but yeah, maybe I'm gonna put some time into that. I think I've got a few reviews I've got to do, as I always do. As always happens.
Or you could get contracts to deliver new boats to customers of all sizes and shapes.
Oh, that's a nice idea. I'm hoping, actually, Stewie, at some point that we get sailboats. The MTC will keep me right. Oh, is he a bit of a U-boat player, is he? Fantastic. I'll have a chat with him at some point then. He can clue me in. So I played it when it first came out, and I was really excited and keen by it. But I hit one of those bugs that you just couldn't undo. I think it was just after I sent my men down to retrieve something from the depths, and then a plane turned up or something, and I had to leave some guys there, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then from that point on, my boat would only go in reverse, and it just, when I turned left, it went right, and so on and so forth.
I think Mr.
You learned watching him. Oh, okay. I'll have to watch his playlist then. That'll help me. You think Mr. Sim and chat should send in these suggestions? Get them on the phone. Well, I am mentally logging these suggestions, don't you worry. And I will be passing them on. The thing is, I don't really want to overload them with, for example, DLC requests. With the game having just launched, and you know, they are working really hard. They're up until 3 AM trying to fix bugs and stuff. I mean, they are literally pushing it to the limit. So yeah, I'll give them a bit of grace. I've already had a chat with them about sort of doing regular updates and sort of roadmap information and stuff like that. So I'll definitely be keeping track of how the game's developing and stuff. But the more I think about it, the more I think it's a good idea to try and get one of the devs to sit down and just get some clarity on some of these things. Who's the makers of this game is Misc Games. They made the previous 2 titles as well. They've won a lot of awards, actually. I want to say somewhat spurious awards. I'm not sure what they're for, or who they're from, or who else was in the running. But Ships at Sea, having played both the previous 2 games, by far is the most likely to be a realistic sim-esque game. in my opinion. But if they do what they've done before and listen to the gamers and not the simmers, then there is always a chance, and I hope this doesn't happen, but there's always a chance that we'll end up with another fishing North Atlantic, which, to be honest with you, I played it about a week before I got access to this game, and it's so boring. I mean, the sea alone and the weather alone is just, it's mind-numbing. There's no challenge to it whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, if you watched my stream the other day, just getting the line in was an absolute nightmare because of the weather. How's Dovetail getting on since they got bought out? I'm not sure, I think, is the honest answer. Matt would have you believe that nothing has changed, and yet I was seeing patch notes with hundreds of fixes, proper fixes too, hundreds of them just fixed, whereas previously they were doing like 10, 20 at the most. So I think there have been some positive changes there, but I've also seen a mixture of some good content come out and a lot of the old sort of half-assed crap that they used to throw out at ridiculous prices. I'm going the wrong way here. God, pay attention. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I get this. I get the feeling. This is not going to be a popular feeling. I get the feeling they're working on Train Sim World 5. And if I'm right, and they are, then I think Train Sim World 5 will be a lot better than Train Sim World 4. But if I'm correct, then they're using Train Sim World 4 as a cash cow to pay for Train Sim World 5, if that makes sense. So I haven't seen the changes I was hoping for. Let's put it that way. Things are not as exciting as I was hoping maybe they would be, but I just get the impression there definitely have been changes. As I mentioned, you know, I've watched a couple of their streams and they're like, here's 150 fixes that we're just releasing immediately, whereas previously it was 20. So I mean, something has changed there, something has improved. But I just get the sensation that not much has happened because they're working on Train Sim World 5. And I feel like Train Sim World 5... well, put it this way. If Train Sim World 5 comes out and it isn't considerably better than Train Sim World 4, I think that'll be the beginning of the end of Dovetail Games. Because their competitor SimRail, I don't know if you know much about them, but the content they're bringing out in an early access title with a very small team is considerably better than anything that Dovetail Games have released in the last 10 years. So SimRail's looking really exciting. So yeah, an interesting couple of years coming up, I think, for train simulation. And I don't fully know which direction it's going to go in, if I'm being totally honest. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. These 2,500 lines are flipping long. They take like 10-20 minutes to get the line out. It's crazy, but you do get a lot of fish back on them as well, so I'm not complaining. Not complaining. I just want to get enough cash in to maybe buy the next boat. That's my target. Farm Sim 25? Do you know something I don't know, Stewie? Have they announced Farm Sim 25? I know nothing of Farm Sim 25. Can give you an accurate prediction though. Almost certainly. Giants will do what they always do. Release a half-assed game, which the modding community will then turn into something exceptional. But it will never quite tick all the boxes. That would be my prediction for Farm Sim 25, but I've not heard anything about Farm Sim 25.
Nothing yet. Do you think they will?
Do I think they will? No. I mean, they might do, but I get the impression that their Farm Sim 22 was the one that they were going to do an ETS move on and sort of stick with it for a long period of time and just let the modding community run with it and stuff. They brought out a lot of DLCs for that game. I'll tell you my two biggest concerns about Farm Sim 22, but not just 22, Farm Sim in general. Oh, is that it? I think we just dropped a line. Okay, hang on. So the two things that concerned me most was when they brought trains into the game that you could drive. I don't know any farmers who drive trains. Not one. And I thought, what the hell is going on here? This is mental. Who thought this was a good idea? And then the most recent DLC that confused me in Farm Sim was the roller coaster builder and the yacht builder DLC. I mean, what the hell? I don't think I know any farmers who sail. I certainly don't know any farmers who have built a flipping roller coaster. I mean, what's going on there? What kind of a simulator is that? So I think they're doing a cash cow maneuver as well. I really do. I don't think they've got any interest in building another game yet. They're just going to try and squeeze as much cash out of this one as they can first. Right, we've got our line down, guys. I'm going to click on the clock here to rest. And we'll rest for 14...
The fire engine DLC baffled me.
14 hours. And we'll see what goes on. Fire engine DLC? You are joking me. Is that a thing? They didn't release a fire engine DLC. Tell me you're joking. Please, God. I thought the roller coaster was bad. Although that does pose the question, are they trying to implement fire into the farming experience? Because that could be quite interesting. Sort of. I don't know. Right, let's rest and see where we end up. Well, the good news is we don't have to worry about the weather, because there isn't any. It's always the same. There are fire engines in it. Oh my good God. I don't know why I'm surprised or shocked, but I am. Can't believe they've done that. We're looking really good. First time, look. Here's my thing. Here we go. Right, guys, I am god-awful at this. I know people who have done this, and they say they get them all, or they miss one or two tops. See? Why did I miss that one? I think I was on the mark there. Got that one. Right, that's one. Somebody did give me a tip, and he said, aim slightly left. Well, that did work. Interesting.
Rescue pussycats and bale fires not for me, though.
Oh no, I couldn't get that one. Ah. You can now zoom in with the right mouse button, which is kind of cool. See what I mean? I just missed so many. I don't really know why. Got that one though. There used to be like a little circle that gave you some sort of idea of when you were supposed to swing the hook, but they've got rid of that. Sometimes I feel like I'm standing too close. Nice. Oh, get that one. Get that one. Don't miss that one. Oh, thank God I got it. That was a huge fish. And another one. Yes. We're getting better. Right, we did all right there. We got a couple. And there's my bucket. Fantastic. Look, we can just dice this up now. And go again. Right, let's have a little look. Where are the fishies at? Oh, it's not going to tell me because I'm not in the thing. But I'll drop it. We'll enter the cabin. Now we'll have a look. Look, they're all still there. Let's just go through them again. Let's get another load of fish. My idea is to fill up the boat. I don't know what the limit is on the boat. I don't know if there is a limit. I mean, it's early access. There might be no limit at all, but I'd like to try and hit the limit and then see how much money you can make on one load. That would be an interesting video. That's what I'm trying to do today. You can rescue pussycats and balefires. What? That's just mental. That's mental. I suppose, you know, credit where it's due. It does show that they're... What giants tend to do is build the foundation, don't they? And then they let the modding community build the actual content, so to speak. But it shows that it's capable of doing a lot. So, you know, I must commend them for that. What's stuck with me, though, for pretty much the last 10 years, I guess, was when they were bringing out Farm Sim 2017, they did an interview, and one of the German developers said, and I quote, oh, I've already got the thing down, we could make the most realistic farming simulator you've ever seen, but then nobody would play it. And I thought, if that's true, why are there so many mods to make the game more realistic, and why are they always the most popular mods? It just made no sense to me that that was his thought process. I do wonder, perhaps, if Fishing Barents Sea, Myths Games, maybe they've got a similar sort of theory. They're capable of making the most realistic fishing sim you've ever seen, but then nobody would want to play it. I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't think it's true that people wouldn't want to play it. I'm sure they could build the best, most realistic fishing sim, and I'd love to see it. I'd definitely invest my cash in that. I have no qualms about spending... And you know, I don't mind spending big money. I paid 120 quid for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that's not particularly the best flight sim I've ever played. But I don't mind spending the cash, and, you know, there are things that Microsoft Flight Simulator have done that are absolutely groundbreaking. Phenomenal. Incredible. And, again, I think they must be commended for that. But the truth of the matter is, as sim fans, we want realism. That is the draw. We are after realism. And the truth of the matter is, if you're a pilot or a captain of a boat, there are risks, serious risks to life. And personally, I'd like to see those risks in a simulation game. If they're not there, I don't think it's a simulator. Oh, interesting point, if you're interested, if anyone's heard about Sail Away. There's Sail Away, Sail Away 2, which is basically the same game but rebranded. And there soon is to become Sail Away 3. And all the criticisms I made of Sail Away 2 have been addressed, or most of them, not all of them. So Sail Away 3 is going to be far more realistic. But I have been asked not to review Sail Away 3 because it's not ready for the likes of me to review it. But it is nice to see that some devs have taken on board my criticisms and they're trying to build better simulators off the back using my recommendations. So watch this space. The next couple of years could be really interesting on Sim UK. You know, if some developers really do listen and sort of take on board some of my suggestions, we could see some incredible games coming out that actually tick a lot more boxes than they currently do. Fingers crossed. Listen, whilst the boat is in a semi-steady state, I think I might go grab that coffee because I've got a bit of a dry throat. So if I can leave the boat in your capable hands, everyone, please don't crash the boat or sink it or crash the game or anything like that. And I'll be back in 2 wags of a lamb's tail. I think that's a saying. It won't be long.